If I became a teacher there in Bombay College, where my students remember me even today, much of the credit must go to Prof Lucio. So what I could not say while he was alive, because the stint was very brief, hardly a year, I am saying today, long after he died, I am paying my debt of gratitude to him for his kindness and love and affection that he showed me. I don't know if many of you remember, we used to stay behind the tourist hostel in Panji. 2-3 times I had occasion to visit him there. His wife was there. Are you Professor? You are a charger. I don't think I deserve the title of professor. I was distinctly uncomfortable. He calling me a professor. Maybe I've been just a sir, not a professor, certainly. How does one drink a tea in such a senior colleague? But these are small gestures that made me feel that I was loved. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1985 I bought that book which Miss Vaz has got in her hand also. I got a habit of writing a date when I buy books, so I just took out the copy. Frederick invited me. I said, I got the book of this folk tale. In 1985 I bought it. All youngsters who are in front of me, if you do not have the time to read it in full, may I make a humble request to you to read the first essay that is written there. Go and say it with crackers. What a lovely piece. So many years, water has flown down the Bombay river and people have hardly changed. The more society changes, the more we remain the same. Still, when the daughter is born, 2 packets of crackers. When the son is born, 3 packets of crackers we find. I like the immortal line that he has written. Public manifestation of a private act. You'll find that in the essay. Long years back, somebody told me, "Arey Professor, it is very easy to write in a difficult manner that people cannot follow easily. It is much more difficult to write in a simple, lucid style." Professor Lucio, you take the book and read yourself. How simple. Hardly any difficult word. What a pleasure to read. What a gifted man he was. My dear friend, just to summarize, these are just my sentiments and feelings, what I owe to him, that I put before you. I cannot speak as a colleague because I told you, you're a very senior person, and we really had to brush each other very often, only in the mornings. But I just gave you a sense of humor. I think even Mrs. Belwar has forgotten it. So I will remind her also. So one day I sat in the staff room with him. I'll distribute some work, he said. What would you like to have? What would you like to teach? I just looked down. I'll give you something easy, something that you would like. And I remember he gave me Cry the Beloved Country by Helen Payton. And he gave me one beautiful play by George Bernard Shaw. And there was a deadline for junior BA and senior BA, 19th century essays and 20th century essays. So he said, Professor, you take 20th century, let Isabel take 20th century. Oh, it was the other way around, I don't remember. But I tell you a sense of humor. In 19th century, I think, I don't know if it was Mr. Isabel to take one. There was an essay there on choosing your wife. So suddenly he thought, what will Isabel do with such an essay on choosing your wife? You are a young man, maybe it is best suitable for you. Isabel, you take the other one, let him take on choosing a wife. It will benefit him something over there. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing I tell you. And thereafter, of course I went and repeat that essay. And whether I chose my wife, dress, anything on that essay, I don't know. I was utilizing my William Cobbett or something like that. The author was really amazing. So, if I had more years and better touch with him, maybe I would have had so much more to tell. In conclusion, my dear friends, all I would say is the beautiful lines that I read in one of the cards. And in the card, these lines were there. If we can live in the hearts of those we leave behind, then we essentially do not die. May I repeat it? If we can live in the hearts of those we leave behind, then we essentially do not die. Ladies and gentlemen, because He lives in our hearts, today we are all assembled here. Physically He may be there, but in our heart He will continue to live. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to say these few words.
Thank you very much, Ravi. Like Lucio, you are a lover of language, a lover of literature, and many of the details that you brought to this audience today, I must confess I have forgotten. So thank you for reminding me, and for reminding me of what I begin to see Professor Lucio left for this department. If you allow me to talk about the Department of English, Bombay College of Arts and Science, you'll be here till midnight. But I begin to understand that this good camaraderie, this fellowship with people and literature and language, I think began to flow with Professor Lucio. So thank you very much. What can I add to this portrait that very well-known and eminent speakers have drawn of Professor Lucio? I must confess that I did not know him very closely. But I know that when Bombay College was started, the first principal, Dr. Lavande, went round looking for eminent teachers who would be in his college. And you must remember this was soon after the liberation of Goa. And this was a college that Dr. Lavande was extremely committed to and fond of. And he personally invited these people. So truly it was a privilege for us to encounter people of this stature and of this kind of commitment. As a student, Professor Lucio taught my little group, my friend Dr. Edith Melfutad is here, and I'm sure she remembers more than I do, but I remember that he taught us the lyric as a form of literature. And I remember that he was extremely stately. I won't go as far as to say combo. But he was certainly very personable, and he had a certain manner about him that I found very dramatic. But he was at the same time rather informal, and he thought nothing of perching himself on somebody's desk or pushing someone and sitting next to him or her. And when Frederick said to me, will you say a few words about Professor Lucio? What came to my mind was how he kept time in his classes, and he would walk up and down hitting either his thigh or the desk, and he would say, "Ta-ra-ta-ta, ta-ra-ta-ta, ta-ra-ta-ta, ta-ra-ta-ta." It's what, 50 years now? And the ta-ra-ta-ta hasn't gone away. Because that was Lucio's love of poetry, of music, of rhythm, of prosody. I'm sure he has left a mark on all his students. He was my colleague as well. As Rabin says, larger than life. For us, one Abdullah and one Bittullah who had just joined the department, but he was fair. He didn't overburden us, and he kept his distance as well. He was familiar, but he was also very professorial, at least from where I stood. And I remember how well dressed he was, and the fob watch that he pulled out of his pocket and looked at in great style. I had only read about fob watches, and the first and the last, I think, that I saw was the one Professor Lucio pulled out of his pocket. He sat in a particular chair in the staff room, at the head. Remember that? And it was one long table and one long camaraderie that we had there. It wasn't little cubicles and workstations, and we had fun. We listened to Professor Lucio, and as I read some of what he has written, I get a feeling of that humor and that satire. You read any of his essays, Talk on a Law is now a classic. And he talks with a satirical vein and with a very, very genuine knowledge of the soil, which you cannot fake. And when I was rereading Lucio these days, I was repeatedly reminded of another artist, another great man that we have had, and that is Mario Miranda. And the knowledge that they had of our people and of our ways and our funny habits and our idiosyncrasies. And I think both of them make us look at ourselves and our society in frames. They make that which is familiar strange, and that which is strange familiar. Professor Lucio is a writer, has been a writer, a researcher, and I think one extremely great contribution that he has made is compiling the folk tales. And I say to myself, if this is not done now, what is to be of our folk tales? They vanish. And what a loss that would be. As I said, I listened to him this morning on tape. And it was fantastic listening to him sing the OV, and I'm sure he was accompanying himself, and sing the Mando. Professor Lucio has an essay in his book about the Ladain. And we are all familiar with the Ladain. Allow me to end reading one small paragraph from that little essay of his. Looking back, he says, upon the good old religious cum social practice I am struck by the linguistic pattern of the Ladini. The word in Portuguese means litany. It's also common to use the term terce for litany. Terce reza, recited litany. Terce canta, litany sung. The quick change linguistic acts are startling. Why this minor babel, this diversity of tongues, Konkani, Latin, Portuguese, English, in such a simple devotional act among the rustics of Goa? I think in a way we are all what Professor Lucio is talking about. We are a composite, colorful product of so many different strands with our own vices and our own virtues and our own color. And to have met a man who in a way embodied this kind of color and this kind of Goanness, for me, is a matter of great gratitude and great joy. I am particularly glad that his family was able to join us here. So you get a little feel of how we were touched by this great man who was your brother, your uncle, and probably your granduncle. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, which I was reluctant to take, but thank you anyway. Professor Lucio, we remember you. Lots of people remember you. Thank you. I think Rodrigue has the release of his books planned for now.
We are grateful to Margaret Fernandez, who is the young sister of Lucio, Professor Lucio, for coming especially from Bombay today and releasing this book for us. Thank you so much.
The next item on the agenda is the reading of some extracts from the book, and some students. Anna Marie from St. Xavier's College, Mapsa, is going to read some extracts from our book.
Aboli, The Flower Songs, Folktales and Legends of Goa, a collection by Lucio Rodrigues. Pink and green. I wish I could make this essay as sweet as a pink mango, Or would you prefer it to be like a raw one, the greenest of the green, which you stuff with chilies and salt and spices, and smacking your lips crunch away the hot and pungent delicacy? It is a kind of cocktail full of pep in it. Even as I write, my mouth waters, and I remember the days when I was young and so fond of this mother forbidden fruit. I used to take a vicious delight in the making and the eating of this smacking affair. Malpurad is one of the early crops and one of the best. I, for one, prefer them to any other. Your Alfonso is an aristocrat. He believes in civilized, stable manners. You insult him if you do not treat him with plate, knife, spoon, and you dare not eat too much. He beats in bulk the smaller Malpurad, but in taste, I do not think he equals my choice. Malpurad is a democrat. He makes no high demands on you. You can eat it sitting on the kitchen floor or on the balcony steps, and you can eat your fill. All mangoes are not to be eaten in the same way. Some are to be cut and sliced, others peel like potatoes or bananas. There are few that refuse to be cut. You cannot use a knife on them. All you can do is suck. Have you seen children eating mangoes? Oh, what a sight! None of your solemn slicing and spooning and fastidious nibbling. Hands, mouth, face, dress, all have a share in the glorious game. The juice drips at the elbows and the child looks like a little monkey. Thank you.
We have a very small recording of Dr. Lucio himself, which was recorded in the US. The take home from this is, if you have any recording, if you have any photographs, please share it, store it, keep it on for posterity. You can hear how he's talking to these American kids in the 1960s, I think it's 1968. A very tumultuous time in the US, in the campuses there, and he's trying to tell them about folk music. There is a little bit of distraction in the background when they are talking and things like that. You'll hear it all.